Good morning around the Diamond family. We are back for the final episode of 2023 of Around the Diamond. It's been a great year. It's been a crazy year. There's been so much that's happened. We couldn't contain it all. We just couldn't because Bill and I kept going over our typical amount of time for shows, and we would just keep talking afterwards, and you wouldn't be able to hear it. It's unfortunate, but we had a great year, and we are happy you were able to join us, and we are going to get this show going. As always, Baseball Bill, how are you doing on this beautiful Saturday?
I'm excited. I'm not only excited that this is the last show of 2023 and we've done such a good job at this, but I'm excited because this is the last one that's going to go on YouTube. Everything else is in the locker room. So if you want to see us again, it's going to cost you a little bit of coin. Not much, but it's going to cost a little bit of coin. We'll talk about that at the end.
A smidgen of coin, not a
Yeah,
lot, a smidgen.
yeah.
But let's jump right into it. We're gonna get into some real quick free agent signings because the week between Christmas and New Year's is typically quiet in the baseball realm of signings, but it's very big in conversation. So we'll get into that. Looking at some of the signings that were major, I think Bill and I can agree that the Martin Maldonado signing was by far the biggest signing that happened
Yeah.
this week. Wouldn't you say, Bill?
Yeah, the Maltine Maldonado deal was good because the White Sox are moving on from Yasmani Grandal.
Yeah.
Uh, Martin Maldonado is a better defensive catcher. Offensively, you're going to get about the same, but you're going to get. I like Martin Maldonado a lot better than Yasmani Grandal.
Yeah. But
So
in actuality, Bill, what would you say the biggest signing was this week out of these
probably
four?
Lucas Giolito.
Yeah.
Um, the thing with Lucas Giolito though is he gives up a lot of bombs. And remember, even though you've got a 400-foot wall up in left field, that's a short porch in left field in Boston.
Yeah.
So that might be a launching pad for his style of pitching.
Mhm.
But he was very good, very, very good when he was with Cleveland. I hope that he can get those glory days back because he's a fun pitcher to watch.
Yeah. Well, it's a two it shows 2 year deal, but there is the 1 year option on it. So it's really a 1 year deal with a club option. Do you think this was just to kind of for the Red Sox to kind of look at this and say, we'll give you the shot, and if we think it's gonna work out, we'll take it? Or was this more of a
Yeah, yeah, he's young enough where this is a beta test. Remember, he pitched over in Anaheim and got shelled, and then someplace else
yeah,
and he got shelled. And so this is more of a, hey, are you the guy that is just getting shelled? Or are you the guy that was with Cleveland that everybody wanted as a free agent? So,
right. Yeah, and that
if he
makes a
can
lot of sense.
he can prove himself in the next 2 years, he'll end his career with a 5, 6 year deal worth 100 million. If he is the pitcher that he was, I believe, in Anaheim, he will end his career, you know, with 1 and 2 year deals for $4 and $5 million.
Right. No, and that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, if you're looking at who's already signed, I mean, we already know the big names that have signed: Yamamoto, Shohei.
Where'd they go?
Um, what was it, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, yeah, it was
That's what I
Pittsburgh. Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
No, but when you're looking at a guy like a Lucas Giolito, and who is young, has been shelled a little bit, you know, he hasn't proven himself like a Blake Snell, like a
Hmm.
Hater, like a
Hmm.
Stroman,
Hmm.
who are going to come out of this free agency period with a long-term contract initially. You know,
Correct.
um, I think when I compare guys like a Lucas Giolito, I look at like the shocker of like a Jock Peterson from a position standpoint, and say, like, solid position fielder, but he just keeps getting kind of shafted with these 1 year deals on in these sporadic teams. What do you think's been holding teams back from signing Jock to something long term?
To Jock, signing Jock
Yeah,
long term,
yeah, I'm just curious.
can't hit.
Can't hit.
He can't hit left-handers. Yeah, I
That's
mean, you're signing a guy with a really bad haircut, although I like it. It's kind of fun. You're signing a guy who has proven in Atlanta, in San Francisco, and in LA that he can't hit left-handers. And
Mm.
so you're getting an everyday outfielder that's going to hit 225 against left-handers and 245 against right-handers. Although he's exciting to watch because he
Hmm.
hits the long ball a lot against left-handed pitching, he's not your guy.
Yeah. Uh, I also think it's pretty interesting when you're looking at who's already been signed. The primary position of who's already been signed has been pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
Pitchers have been the hot market this offseason. Is that surprising to you?
No, no, because we're learning more and more and more. We're going back to 80s style of baseball where you get them on, get them over, get them in, but it's all about pitching. And I'm looking forward to the day when we get back to real baseball where pitchers aren't given a participation trophy for pitching 5 innings. They're expected to go a minimum of six, but preferably seven. And
Right.
so I'm waiting for that day to come back.
From your mouth to God's ears, I think all us baseball purists are waiting for that day to come back. With
Yes.
the way that they're pushing baseball, though, and the rule changes and things like that, um, we talked about it, how like after Shohei eventually leaves, we're not going to see another player in a similar position that's going to utilize the Shohei rule.
Yeah.
Do you think pitchers not utilizing the Shohei rule is going to basically keep giving them that participation trophy? Because when you think about it, I mean, all the way up until I think maybe middle school, even in like travel league, aren't pitchers typically hitting the ball?
Yep.
Pitchers don't,
Even through high school.
yeah. I
Very
mean,
few times do you have POs in high school.
right. So
So these guys know how to hit. It's just, yeah.
it's kind of why, and I'm not sure if I've ever asked you this, so I'd love to get your feelings on it. It's kind of why I'm mad that they brought the DH to the American League. I mean, to the National League, I'm sorry. Because to me, the National League felt like that purist baseball.
Well, yes and no. The league looked at it from a perspective. I'll bet you good money. This is how this rolled. Okay. The league looked at it from a perspective of we've got some aging players that are exciting that we still want to keep around. How do we do that?
Right.
Well, and you think about it. Joey Votto is a perfect example. Joey Votto can still hit, and he is a candidate for the Hall of Fame when he retires. Not necessarily first ballot, but he's definitely a candidate for the Hall of Fame. That being said, having him as an everyday first baseman at this juncture in his career, probably not going to happen. But
Right.
could somebody sign him as a DH? Sure. So do we want to give 15 teams the option or 30 teams the option?
I get where you're saying. And I was thinking about it as you were saying it, that you're literally limiting the number of teams he's able to sign with because we don't have that position. And I get it. It's still hard though. It's still hits home a little bit that for so
Okay.
long the National League was looked at as this purest form of baseball, while the American League was looked at this new age form of baseball. And
Yep.
now it's kind of all just moved into that new age with the feeling of that baseball purists feel like they've kind of been given the short end of the stick.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, again, look at a player like Shohei. Shohei does not sign with the Dodgers if there's not a universal DH. You're limiting them to the 15 teams in the American League.
Right.
Um,
And he'd probably be a Yankee.
you're look at a guy like Justin Turner, who's on our next slide. He's not a a full-time third baseman anymore. He's a DH. And
Very true.
so, I mean, look at a guy like him. Look at
Justin Turner's actually on the next
oh,
slide,
next slide,
but
yeah. Look at a guy like Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson is not an everyday left fielder. Um, Yasmani Grandal can still hit, but again, he's not an everyday catcher. So,
right.
I mean, I get why they did it. I don't know that I like it or dislike it. I mean, I'm a National League guy, so I like the fact pitchers were batting. But again, you call it like it is, right?
I think another person to think about in the situation that we're going to see moving to this probable universal DH position in the National League within the next, I'd say 3 years, because I don't think long term he's going to stack up at this position, is Bryce Harper.
Hmm.
Bryce Harper is I think in right now, the perfect example of people to look at saying he's a fielder, but he doesn't have much more time playing the field.
Hmm.
And he's just going to move to that universal DH position because while he's making that transition to first, he's not a first baseman. He's not.
Hmm.
He doesn't I don't
Agreed.
think he doesn't have the length, he doesn't have the stretch, he doesn't have the height, he doesn't have the he's got the speed to play it. He can obviously catch a pop fly, probably better than most first basemen can catch a pop fly. But if you're not able to get that extra 6 inches of reach, as typical first basemen are, because look at a guy like Freddie Freeman, lengthy in the arms, long stretch, able to get that extended reach. Bryce can't do that, but Bryce can hit.
Yeah. But Freddie might
Probably
not be
better than
able to do
most.
that. So remember, Freddie's contract ends after he turns 37. He will be darn near close 3,000 hits. And honestly, if he stays in the same shape that he's in, he'll be able to play into his early 40s if he wants to.
Right.
And so you look at it from a perspective of that, and Freddie Freeman is another candidate for why we have the universal DH.
Yeah.
In 5 years, he's going to need that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I see why we've gone to this position. And I see why MLB has done it. From a purist standpoint, it just hurts.
Uh-huh.
It hurts.
So on this list that you have here from I mean, I understand the pure side, but of the free agents that you have listed here, these some of these market values are way out of control. Clayton
100%.
Kershaw,
And
Josh Peterson,
by the way,
Marcus
these
Stroman.
market values are brought to you by SpotTrack.com.
Yeah.
Make sure we give them their recognition where it's due. I think the reason, I mean, obviously, I don't accommodate what the market value is when it comes to these guys.
Hmm.
Obviously, if it was me, it would not be these numbers because we all know that probably not worth these numbers. Um, some of them are. I think some of these values are somewhat accurate. They're pretty close. I don't think Jock Peterson is a $16 million guy. As you mentioned, he can't hit lefties. Um, I would say Blake Snell's is
All right.
close, high but close.
Well, listen, I hate to break the news to you, but Blake Snell is this close. Probably on Tuesday he'll sign. It's been understood that in concept he's agreed to sign with TopFanRivalry. We're
That
gonna pay him nine hundred
was
million
another
dollars
billion
for
dollars, right?
$900 million for 15 years. But
Gotcha.
here's how the contract's structured. If he doesn't pitch more than 7 innings a game, he has to pay us for that game. So yeah,
Interesting.
so these 5 inning starts that he's getting, he doesn't get paid for those. In fact, he has to pay TopFanRivalry. So
Got it.
I think it's a TopFanRivalry team friendly deal. But again, Blake said that I could announce it on the show.
Fair enough.
And so I'm announcing it now. It looks like he's going to get 900 million for 15 years from TopFanRivalry.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. You say a lot of these are pretty high. I'm going to bring up your boy, Clayton. Would you say Clayton's market value is high? Or would
Way
you say
high,
it's
way high, way high. So first of all, Clayton, you don't know how he's going to come back from the surgery. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer if he retires today, and nobody can argue that. If you argue that with me, Sam, I'm going to think you're crazy.
No, there are many guys on the Dodgers I will argue with about being first ballot Hall of Famers. This is a guy that, as much as it pains me to say it, there's
Mhm.
no question is the first ballot Hall of Famer. I
I
mean, a guy
mean,
like Blake Snell as well. Blake Snell could potentially down the road, depending on the rest of his career, be a first ballot Hall of Famer, being one of only a few people that's won the Cy Young in both the American League and the National League.
But going back to Clayton, right now, if I were the Dodgers, the way I would position this is I would say, Clayton, we're going to give you $10 million. Okay. We know that you're not going to be able to pitch until late July, early August. What we want you to do is be the assistant pitching coach to Mark Pryor. We want you to work with Bobby Miller. We want you to work with Emmett Sheehan, some of the young guys. We want you to learn Japanese and work with Yamamoto and Shohei and really kind of as that guy that is on the field, almost like a Pete Rose, a player manager. I'd give him $10 million to do that. And then if he comes back in August and he has 10 starts and he goes 4-3 with an ERA at 5, at least his last game at Dodger Stadium was not him getting blown out in the playoffs. And so
Would you put a bonus on it depending
maybe,
on him
I
hitting a
mean,
certain number of games upon coming back in August?
the guy's made well over $300 million in his career. He just got paid $20 million last season to basically sit out half of the season. So
That's fair.
probably not. I'd probably say I'm offering you $10 million, knowing that you're not going to pitch until August, but we need you to get healthy and we need you to work with the young kids. That's how I would position it. But again, I'm not signing. I mean, I blew my wad on Blake Snell. Okay.
That's
So
fair.
Top Fan Rivalry blew their wad on. Hey, Eva Longoria is on here. 7 million,
Eva
please.
Longoria, 7 million. I would probably say Evan Longoria's contract is about a third of what that market value is saying.
Mhm.
Maybe a
Yeah.
little, maybe a smidgen more, but not too much more.
Yeah. Matt
Um,
Chapman's not 17 million. AJ Pollock, I think didn't he? I don't remember if he signed or not, but AJ
I don't
Pollock's
think
gonna
he signed yet. I
he's
don't
gonna
think
be
he
lucky
signed.
to get
No,
half that.
AJ Pollock hasn't signed yet. Um,
Alex Wood's
Reese
gonna be
is going to
lucky to
be
get
the
half
interest.
that.
Honestly, about of every free agent we've shown on this list, I think the one free agent, personally, I am the most curious about seeing. And then we got to keep this moving because we just got a couple of more. We got so many topics to talk about before the new year ends. The one I'm really interested in seeing is Reese. I'm really, really interested to see what happens with Reese Hoskins.
Hmm. Hmm.
Would
You
you say
know,
that his market value is kind of like right in line? Is it high? Is it
it's a
low? Do
little
you
high.
think?
I'd probably say about 15 million a season. You know where I'd
Okay.
like to put Reese, and I don't think he'd go there, but where I'd like to put Reese is I'd like to move Jordan Alvarez to the outfield for the Astros, bring Jose Abreu, who's got one more year left on that contract, in as a DH, and put Reese Hopkins at first in Houston. That would, I mean, having Reese Hopkins and Jose Altuve on the right side of the infield, that's a good right side of the infield.
Oh
But
yeah.
I just can't see that happen.
No, I'm really curious to see where this watch is gonna go,
Yeah,
where
me
Hoskins
too.
is gonna go.
Yeah.
The only way you're gonna find out though is you got to keep checking out around the diamond with Top Fan
Around the
Rivalry.
diamond, baby.
Guys, you
I
gotta
mean,
be here.
we already told you about Blake Snell.
We drop things before the analysts drop things.
Yeah,
Bill and I have this conversation. They watch our show and then take our opinions and they produce it. We
yeah.
know.
I mean,
We
they're
we should
offering
really be
money and
the
things.
we
We're
should
turning
really
it
be the
down left
stars
and
of
right.
ESPN. We should be the stars, but we
Yeah,
decide we want to be more homegrown talent.
yeah, yeah. We're
Um
not. Yeah,
Bill,
sleepers for
you
October, baby.
yeah, Bill, you brought this topic to me, and I thought it was really um an eye-opening topic.
Hmm.
Really, because you've got two teams on here that, in my opinion, are guaranteed playoff contenders for the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
And then you've got three teams on here
Hmm.
that I would not consider in the next 3 to 5 years to even be close to a playoff contention. So I'd really
Okay.
love to hear what your thoughts are on where these five teams are going to sit come
Okay.
October
So
next year.
Arizona and Baltimore are one injury away from missing the playoffs. They
Okay.
they they are one. So Corbin Carroll gets hurt. God forbid, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. Arizona comes in third place. Missed the playoffs. Baltimore, I think Baltimore is going to be very good for a very long period of time for the next 7 to 10 years with the young kids that they have. But they are also one injury away from something happening. And so I don't, though that's why I'm calling them sleepers. Now, when you look at Detroit, when you look at Kansas City, where are they at? They're in the Central. Okay. There is no rock solid team in the Central. So you could win that division with 85 wins. And Detroit and Kansas City can pile that on. Why am I saying Pittsburgh? Same, the exact same thing. They play in the Central. There's not one. The Cubs have not gotten stronger. The Cardinals have not gotten stronger. The Pirates have picked up some pitching. The Pirates can win 85, 87 games and sneak into October. That's why I'm
Very
saying that.
true. No, and that makes sense. And you hit the first two teams I thought on the head, being one in that you said were one injury away. Now, I think that aligns more with the Diamondbacks than it does with Baltimore.
Yeah.
I think Baltimore has got more youth behind it, ready to come up to fill in those gaps than Arizona does. So I
Yeah.
think if someone were to if Adley were to get hurt, I think the Orioles might be scared. Honestly. Because Adley is the captain of that team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There
Yeah.
isn't. But I think there are other fielding positions that if someone were to get hurt, they could fill those holes. There's
Yeah.
youth there, they could get them. But if you take Adley out, similar to like what you said, if you take Corbin out for the Diamondbacks, now we're in that pickle scenario where we don't really know what's going to happen.
Right.
Um,
So this is how this plays out. And not to interrupt you here, but this
no,
is how this
I was
plays
done,
out
so you're good.
with somebody like Baltimore. Okay. If Baltimore stays healthy this year, they win their division again, or even they make the playoffs back-to-back seasons. You're going to see a group of free agents a la Juan Soto, guys that are on 1 year deals right now that have played on the East Coast. They're looking at it and going, gee, I can go over here and make a good team a lot better. And so if you add Juan Soto to that lineup, that's going to make Baltimore a lot more dangerous. And
Baltimore might
so,
become the team you don't want to face in the East.
yeah,
It's gonna make the Yankees look like children.
yeah, exactly. And so it's going to make the Yankees look old. But Baltimore is that team. They are that team that they are one injury away from missing October. But if they make it into October, you're going to see free agents talk about going. Remember, where did Juan Soto start his career and played the majority of his career? In DC. DC and Baltimore are like what,
40 minutes
less
away
than a
from
half
each other.
hour drive
And
away
about
from
40
each other?
minutes, 40, 45 minutes.
40, 45 minutes. So it's basically almost an interstate rival right there. So Juan Soto goes back to where he feels comfortable. Like I'm not calling that, not making that prediction yet, but
I think one of the
that
things though for Juan is he wants big stages. And I've said this about Baltimore as a football fan for Baltimore.
mhm, mhm.
Taking this from the baseball side though, as much as I like to consider Baltimore and would consider the Orioles a tier one team, they're a tier two team. They are. They're in a tier two market. It's an unfortunate situation to be in. It's not something I think either of us want to say, but I think it's a fact that Baltimore is a tier two market.
Okay. But
I think Juan wants to be in those tier one markets. I could like the Yankees, like the Red Sox, like Atlanta,
like Washington
like
that he played 6 years of his career
I wouldn't
for,
even say Washington's a tier one market. I
it's
wouldn't say
not.
Washington,
It's a tier two, but he
but he
again,
got signed by Washington as a baby. Now he's
but
grown up. Now he's seen the world.
it doesn't matter. Remember, ESPN, the MLB network, they love the East Coast. They love East Coast baseball, right? You and I can both agree about this.
Unfortunately,
Baltimore,
yes, that's
nobody's
true.
talking about Baltimore when the season starts. So there's no expectations. It's always Yankees, Red Sox, Yankees, Red Sox, Yankees, Red Sox. Toronto signed Connor Falupa. So now it's Yankees, Red Sox, Toronto. Nobody's talking about Baltimore. So they don't have this huge expectation. They go in. Last year, they won what, 102 games?
Look, you're preaching to the choir. I think Baltimore should be a tier one baseball city. But when push comes to shove,
Mhm.
they're a tier two. It's
Because
like
they don't have a
everyone on
history
it's
of
like
winning.
but it's like everyone on this next slide. Every single team on this slide is a tier two baseball city.
Correct. Correct.
The
And it's
unfortunate thing is that if you cut Chicago in half, technically the Cubs could be a tier one city.
mhm, yeah. So so again, if you look at the 80s, the Twins were dominant in the 80s, but they haven't done much since. You
Right.
look at the 90s, Cleveland was dominant. You look at the early
I know
80s,
you had Vaughn there, right? Ricky Vaughn.
yeah, Ricky Vaughn, Willie Mays Hayes. But you look at the White Sox had their run in '05, but haven't done much since and hadn't done
Haven't
much
done
prior
much.
to that.
Haven't done much. Haven't done anything. Haven't done
Well, in
anything.
Kansas City, you look at Kansas City, they were dominant in the 70s and 80s. That was the team. Remember, they
Then
were
they
the
had
National or the
15, and
American
that
League
was it.
East, and they were brawling with the Yankees all the time. And
Yep.
then they won the World Series in '85 and they won one in '15, but they haven't done much of anything. Tigers won in '84. They were dominant in the '80s with Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker, all these like Kurt Gibson, all these guys, Lance Parrish, but they haven't been since. And so that's why this division, you look at this division and you're like, all right, it wasn't
I
even exciting.
yeah, you bring back Kansas City. Not only has Kansas City done nothing, they traded their best player to Toronto.
Mhm.
I mean, it's ridiculous. The American
Yeah.
League Central, this is a division that I don't think Bill like we could talk about it, but I think Bill and I have come to the agreement that this is a division that could be won with less than 90 wins. It's really not going to unfortunately be too exciting.
Mhm.
And it just is what it is.
Yeah, no, it exactly. It is what it is, and it's you know, I listen. Minnesota has a great ballpark. They're trying to put together. They won last year's division. They're trying to put together something that will make sense. But again, when you play all 29 other teams, everything kind of if Minnesota only had to play their division, whatever it was, 19 times per team, the other teams, right? Where you come up with like 76 games that you play in your division, that's one thing. But now they have to play the Dodgers. They have to play the Diamondbacks. They have to play the Padres. They have to play the Braves. They're going to play every team, and it's tough. It becomes very tough to win a division.
It
So,
does. I agree. Well, as we could always keep talking about baseball because it's Bill and I's favorite pastime, you put together a schedule this week that's really exciting as we head into this brand new calendar year. So start me with it. What's going on in the
So
first week of
Four
the year?
Ladies, Battle of Texas. This was one of the funnest episodes that we've shot in a long time. They were great. I'm looking forward to that. Cares on. We got three guys talking about the White Sox. We got Junior. Welcome to the clubhouse. So we don't have a podcast on Monday because of the holiday. In the leagues, we have Mets Meg leading it off on Friday. We're gonna play Would You Rather on Wednesday. Guest to be announced.
Nice. And we got Vegas coming up in less than a month, 3 weeks, technically. You need to be there. You need to be
Yes.
there. If you haven't signed up yet, as always, go to topfanrivalry.com. Sign up for the locker room. It will get you a nice discount on your tickets to Top Fan Rivalry Fan Fest. Make sure you use the code ATD when you sign up. Get you 10% off your annual membership. And then that will also unlock your discount for Top Fan Rivalry Fan Fest. Bill, anything about Fan Fest you want to pump us up about?
No, we're gonna talk a lot about it next week.
Yes.
Everything's been wrapped up. We're gonna talk a lot about it. Emails are going out. We're gonna talk a lot about it
Contracts are
on the
signed.
Around the Diamond next week. By the way, By the way, we have, I want to say 8 or 10 spots left, and that's it. So if you're looking to be with like-minded baseball fans, you got to do this.
You
This is
got to.
just like how it
As
has to
we head
roll.
to this new year, you always got to keep remembering you got to look out on TopFanRivalry.com for new podcasts, new articles, new merch, because it's always there and it's updated weekly. But before we go, someone special on this podcast, not this guy, celebrated a birthday yesterday.
Ah,
That
I did.
man, right down there, Baseball Bill celebrated a. I don't know when this is going to be recorded, if he's down there or up there, but he celebrated a birthday yesterday. So, Bill, from the Around the Diamond family, meaning myself, I wanted to get you something a little special.
Yeah, please. Okay.
So, happy birthday.
Nah, hey, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will wear it with pride. I will wear
I
it with
got you
pride.
this picture. This picture is your birthday gift. Congratulations.
Thank
I
you
will
very
have
much.
this image sent over to you after this call, and then you can frame it.
I'll tape it on my shirt. It'll look good. Yes, I'll wear it with pride.
This, Bill, as I mentioned before the show, this was hard for me to buy, but only for you would I spend my money on Dodgers gear.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it. Hats off to you, my friend. It was a
My
good
pleasure.
birthday. We're looking forward to what Top Fan Rivalry can do in 2024. There's a
It
lot of
is,
exciting stuff going on.
it's going to be an awesome time. I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm glad to be a part of the family. Bill, any final comments for the lovely
No, let's
family
do
out
it.
there? All right. Hey, Around
Enjoy
the
this
Diamond
one, and we'll
family.
see you next year.
Yes, thank you for joining us for another amazing year of Around the Diamond. We can't wait to bring it to you in 2024. We will see you on the field next year.
Next year.